Hi friends, let's take a look at Tezos versus the Bitcoin Oz and Tezos versus the Dollar Oz and maybe even Tezos versus the Ethereum Oz as well. By the way, why is Tezos called Tezos? That it makes it easier to Google the thing, okay? So I was talking about this in the Discord with people. I wasn't talking about this actually. I saw people discussing Golem recently and looking for how you would find out information about the Golem coin, GNT, if you want to look that up yourself in the world. If you want to find out about that, it's quite hard. You can search for things like GNT, Golem, crypto, and or whatever to narrow it down. Otherwise, you're going to get a bunch of stuff about rock monsters. Let's just give you an example here. Golem. So what's a golem? If I search golem, then it's something from Jewish folklore. It's an animated anthropomorphic being that's created entirely from inanimate matter, usually clay or mud, right? That's what you're going to get. Whereas if I search for Tezos, then what you're going to get, given that it's a word that doesn't exist and it helps people from communicate across languages without getting confused or having any overlap, or it makes you good on Google, what do you get? You get the cryptocurrency. Okay, cool. So now we know there's a lesson, some takeaway. There's a picture I used in my videos from yesterday. Okay, so there's a takeaway for you. You've learned something about the Tezos coin and the ecosystem right there. So that's a good idea, by the way. I applaud them for doing that. But that's why they did it, not just for the sort of the honourable language basis that Arthur would talk about. If somebody asked me, I'd be honest and say, helps with the SEO, buddy. Helps with the SEO. So if we're looking towards the top side or towards the lower side, what will our targets be? We have two things to look for in the sort of in the intermediary to give us an idea of which direction the prices are moving in, and then how to trade this if we're looking beyond either of these 2 points. Now, the first one has got towards the top side. It's got to be where our previous highs were, and that chimes quite nicely with it. Over here we have a 50% Fibonacci retracement line coming in at, and that is at 0.003252. Bitcoin ages. Now that is of course 32,520 satoshis, right? So that's where you'd be looking towards the top side, and indeed towards the lower side you've got this zone that's marked in here as well, around about that 30,000 satoshis is level down at the top, or 29,000 satoshis is down perhaps as well, then towards the 28,000 satoshis is being your next level beyond that. So what's the next level beyond this one towards the top side? Well, it's got to be that 33,720 satoshi up there at that median line of this channel that we have in the background. Now, if you want to talk about where we could see movements beyond either of those two areas, then the next one has got to be towards that 35k, where we have a 618 Fibonacci retracing. Golden pockets is my precious over here. That's another golem reference for you. Haha. Golem. And then looking down the way, then you have this background pattern of the parallel channel. Movements beyond this area could very much easily see us come down and challenge these other, where we've been in the past at 25,000 satoshis. So that's what we're looking at. We've got a decrease in volume throughout this downward trending period, while we had an increase in volume on the way towards the upside. So there's not that massive enthusiasm in terms of just the volume thing. Now, I'm not going to go into that in great detail, just pointing that out for us. If we look down towards the 4 hour time frame and we spread the charts out a wee bit so we can see how we've been coming in, and looking between this low and this low, which was the previous two lows, and you kind of you say, well, oh, we just scraped away from having some bullish divergence here in the RSI that came in a bit lower. Then we moved towards the top side and broke through a little degree of resistance here at the neutral line, and then came in, retested it, and we're asking questions right now between these two zones, and that's what we're looking for to try and get a resolution on this one. Whereas over here on the just equally over here on the stochastics, you could say the same thing between these two previous lows. But if you were to look back a little bit further, you can see that actually between this low here over there and this one, that we had that divergence that we would have been looking for, that bullish divergence. And then why am I able to say that? Because of course a lot of people out there will say, hey, hold on a second, Rocky, you're confusing me here. You looked between one low and the next low. How come you're able to sort of pull that in and warrant it and legitimize that? Well, the way you would do it is by simply saying that this was kind of flux on the way down here, that actually there wasn't really a significant low in here during this period. Between them, it was either this one or this one, and this is just flux along the way, and this is a low in that sense, that this was the initial low, the initial impulse move down. People love that word impulse. There you have it, like that impulse move down there, then it kind of flux capacited itself on the way down. Then we had the high coming in for the next low. So it's, you know, just in this zone here. And then you can take all of this chunk and say, well, all of this chunk really was below this one over there. And that's that sort of bullish divergence for you on that front. Okay, so it's a little bit tenuous, but there it is. And that's how you would do it. And that actually makes sense and it's legit. And then if you look here as well, what do you have? You have highs. Now, I suppose I better wrap up on the bullish divergence side. The MACD very clearly shows us that bullish divergence very clearly. 1, 2, 3, bullish divergence 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 there. And that includes the flux and everything, all the flux capacitor for us. So that's got the capacity to flux capacitor. But what we have here is then a move towards the top side, which is coming lower than the previous move with these highs over here, which are actually higher. And that's across the board. And what that could be considered to be would be hidden bearish divergence. Okay, continuation divergence. And then, of course, that then makes it so that these two zones become the critical ones in terms of us moving past in order to get some sort of resolution on that front. You can also draw in resistance lines here, something I was discussing with people in the Discord yesterday, so I thought I'll discuss it in all the episodes as well. And you're absolutely able to draw resistance lines in here and say, well, if we move beyond certain zones, don't need to be too distracted by the background ones yourself. You know, you could just not have these on here if you wanted to and have a clean look and draw all of your lines in yourself manually all of the time. Now what else we also have as well is that the DMI is crossed here. You've got a negative cross, so to speak, in terms of the negative moving above the positive, whilst this the ADX area remains above 20. Although let's just keep an eye on that and see as this comes down the way or indeed goes towards the top side if this actually shrinks off. Now this is a downward trend that we've been in since our head and shoulders over there at the start to mid-August period. So we have that downward area. Could this be an inverse head and shoulders or something like that on the go? It could be. Could it be a W pattern as well, like we've spoken about? Now Tony likes to talk about these things, so let's point it out and just say that, you know, you've got these on the go. That which then again just underlines and underpins the importance of these two zones over here. And then of course the next one that you'll be looking at afterwards on that front. Covered off, cool. That'll do for that. I do believe got enough information on it. How long's this episode already? 8 minutes. Gonna then have to just be brief with the other ones, okay? Because the psychology behind things are quite similar, quite well directly linked to each other, and obviously directly correlate, given it's the same asset. You can see here the discussion that we had though about bullish divergence existing here much more clearly on the dollar pricing between these two previous lows and all the oscillators down below, and that then what we've had so far is subsequently is a lower high. That's of course hidden bearish divergence. Did we move past these 2 points? We never managed to make it outside of our parallel channel here, and we can look towards the median line back, which would also be retesting these 2 red lines. I appreciate that it's messy, but you can totally see them unless you're colorblind, and if you are, I apologize. Let me know how you would like me to put my charts together if you are colorblind, because I will definitely try to cater to everybody. I appreciate that is a totally unfair world for colorblind people to live when they're looking at when they're looking at charts like this. I appreciate that massively, so let me know if that's you. But looking down here, then we've got the median line on this channel lining up directly with the retest of the fallen wedge if we were to have one. So you'd hope to see you're sort of finding your feet in there, and that would also constitute a higher low. But this is of course hidden bearish divergence. Should we see the prices come down below the previous lows over here, and that's that orange line, which is a fairly crucial one, and you could look down towards at least the sort of the lower end of that parallel channel, or indeed where the fallen wedge was. Okay, you can figure out those numbers for yourself, not too difficultly, but of course $3 really kind of sums that up for you if you're looking towards the downside, and of course $3.30 for that median line. If we're to move towards the top side, you know, their first resistance is going to be at that 365, 370 area, as we well and truly know, having lived this through experience. But the fake out zone on this end, of course, is up towards that 375, then to 380 area. That could be a target for you off the back of this fallen wedge. Now we have also kind of satisfied that to a degree with this latest move outside of this zone, which has just really left us within the parallel channel. So you can see how this all ties together, and then movements beyond this then have got a macro impact on things. And if I go up towards the 24-hour time frame, and you can see how that is obviously important right where all this crosses right there on all my squiggles. This looks a bit like a butterfly. That's nice. So that's what we're looking at on this thing, and put a head on it and a couple of antennae. So there you go, butterfly. So if we can get that, then that'll be us moving towards the top side thereafter. And what we have in the background now, the reason I'm able to get away with it being so messy there is because the pitchfork actually lays it out for us, and we have movements up above the sort of 375 area, and maintaining that in the longer term is actually quite bullish for things because we're in this bullishly shaped pitchfork. Movements beyond 450 then thereafter, or indeed if we were to do it closer to where we are now, sort of 430 area, puts us up towards the lower line of the pitchfork, you know, back to going towards the median. And then we have these all-time high targets thereafter that we could look to, such as $5 and $5.50, $6, $6.80, $6.60, all that towards the top side if we can do all of that. So that's your positive case scenario for you, and you can see why there'd be this negative stuff as well on the go, and how that would all kind of interact in around that butterfly that we're talking about. Ethereum over here, on the other hand, we're going to have to be very slow, very, very quick on this one. There's your lines. We've got lower side 0.007, right where we are right now, 0.0088. Upwards, you've got 0.01. Up beyond that, then profit taking target of the sort of the first greedy level would be 0.011, and then thereafter 0.0117 or so would be kind of the quite greedy profit taking target. And of course, this would then signal a change in general in the market for us, with perhaps this being kind of wedge-esque and a movement on beyond into these zones here, kind of changing things on the macro, as you can see in the 24-hour time frame, going back up again into that all-time high territory on it. What do we have on the go? Do we have bearish hidden continuation divergence here on this one? We don't have that. We kind of maybe do on the MACD, but I don't think so. We can maybe, you check that out yourself. And we have a diminishing volume profile over here. We've got this potential area which could be considered possibly be quite heady, where these two things could be considered to be quite shouldersy, or we have this downward sloping line as being, you know, part of a channel or perhaps a wedge, and offering up also a neckline for us. So there's quite a few things to be looking to if we were to move beyond either of these zones, but I'm not going to go into any more detail because we've completely run out of time. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Like I say, I'm Rocky Outcrop, youtube.com/Rocky Outcrop. Share it with your friends. A friend of yours is a friend of mine. Absolutely true. I've experienced only that so far in the Discord and when I've talked to people in the comments and everything else. Very friendly, 100% friendly people and all the rest of it. Really do love what I'm doing over here. So thank you so much for being a part of that story and that journey. We're staring 1,500 subscribers in the face. If you're getting value from these episodes, then please do hit that subscribe button. And like I say, a friend of yours is a friend of mine, so why not share this with your friends, because I'd be looking forward to getting to meet them too, like I know you now as well. Join the Discord if you actually want to get to know us all a bit better and meet a bunch more like-minded folk. Of course, you're welcome to do that, but there's no requirement to do that. Absolutely not. If you want to hit that join button and help support the channel financially, then that's cool. You can do that. That'd be sweet. But of course, again, no need to do that because we're able to hit home runs all the time trading, and we don't need that. But you could if you want to, and I would super massively appreciate it, because what it is a very much real, tangible, symbolic gesture and the gift of giving and all that sort of stuff. And I would absolutely appreciate it because I would know what it is, and I value that very, very much. And I want to say a shout out to everybody who's done that so far. Thank you very much. But if you can't, that's cool. Just hit that subscribe button, share it with your friends, watch the videos. All of that is amazingly positive for me. You can share it on Twitter. Anything else, super appreciated. I'm going to catch you next time because this has been very, very, very thorough and everything you need to know. Going to see you again. Thanks so much for tuning in.